Hi, welcome back to Bookworm. Today's book is about something almost all of us experience, but rarely talk about honestly: fear. Not the dramatic kind, not panic or danger, but that quiet fear that shows up when you think about changing something in your life. The fear that makes you hesitate before sending the message, before applying for the job, before speaking up, before choosing yourself. A lot of people assume fear means they're not ready, that they need more confidence, more clarity, more certainty. This book helped me understand that fear usually shows up because something matters, not because something is wrong. Feel the fear and do it anyway doesn't promise that fear will disappear. It explains why waiting for fear to go away often keeps us stuck in the same place for years. If you're thoughtful, self aware, and careful, fear can actually be louder because you see the risk clearly. And over time, hesitation can start to feel like part of your personality instead of a temporary response. As you watch this video, I don't want you to judge yourself for what you haven't done yet. Just notice what comes up. Where do you pause? Where do you wait? Where do you tell yourself later? Before we continue, if you appreciate calm, honest conversations about growth and fear, please like the video and subscribe to Bookworm. It really helps the channel grow and it lets me know this content resonates with you. All right, let's step into the ideas behind Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and talk about why fear doesn't have to decide the shape of your life.
You know that feeling, right? That little knot that tightens in your stomach right before you do something new, something that feels risky. Maybe it's before a big interview or a tough conversation you've been putting off. Well, that's fear. And today, we're going to totally change the way you think about it. We're going to dive into the amazing work of Dr. Susan Jeffers to figure out what fear really is, and more importantly, how we can actually make it work for us. So let's get into it.
So let's just start right here with a simple question. What are you afraid of? I mean, really, take just a second and think about it. Is it something huge, like changing careers or moving to a brand new city? Or maybe it's smaller, something that happens every day, like, that feeling when you want to speak up in a meeting but just don't? Whatever just popped into your head, I want you to know one thing for sure. You are definitely not the only one who feels it.
And just look at this list. I bet some of these look pretty familiar. Public speaking. Oh man, just the thought of all those eyes on you. Or making a big decision, right? That feeling of having to choose one path, knowing you're closing the door on another. Changing jobs and stepping into the total unknown. Or what about being alone? And then, on the flip side, the fear of getting really close to someone, true intimacy. Aging, following that dream you've had since you were a kid, or finally ending a relationship that just isn't right anymore. These are the big ones. These are the things that make us human. And yeah, sometimes it can make us feel completely stuck.
I love this quote from Dr. Jeffers because it just lets us all off the hook. Fear is not some personal failure. It's not a sign that you're broken or weak. It's a sign that you're a human being alive in the world today. It's so common. It's basically an epidemic. We all feel it. That person you admire, the one who seems so confident and put together, trust me, they feel it too. So the goal isn't to magically become fearless. That's just not possible. The real goal, the game changer, is learning how to do it anyway, how to act even when you feel that fear.
Okay, so if we're going to learn to handle fear, we first have to understand what it's made of. What's really going on inside our heads and our bodies when that anxiety kicks in. It's not just this one big, messy blob of an emotion. It's actually layered, kind of like an onion. And once you understand the layers, you can start to peel them back. That's when you get your power back. So let's do that now. Let's look at these 3 levels of fear, one by one.
All right, first up, we have level 1 fears. These are the ones on the surface. They're the what. They're the things we can easily name when someone asks us what we're afraid of. And they tend to fall into 2 little buckets. First, you've got the fears about things that just kind of happen to us, things we don't have a ton of control over, like getting older or a loved one getting sick. And then you've got the fears about things that require us to take action, like making that big career move, or asking someone out, or giving that presentation at work. This is the stuff we talk about, the obvious stuff.
But let's go a little deeper, because underneath those surface fears, we find level 2. Now, these are way more personal. They're not about the situation itself. They're about our inner world. They're about our ego. This is where we find fears like the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of looking stupid or incompetent, the fear of feeling totally helpless. Think about it. The level 1 fear of public speaking isn't really about talking. It's powered by the level 2 fear of being judged. The level 1 fear of changing jobs is powered by the level 2 fear of failure. See how that works? But even that isn't the real root of it. There's one more level to go. There is one single core fear that sits underneath everything else. It's the foundation. It's the engine that powers all of our other fears, from the smallest worries to the biggest anxieties. This is the one that really matters.
And here it is. So simple, right? 4 little words. I can't handle it. This is the level 3 fear. This is the bottom of the onion. Just think about any fear you have. You're not actually afraid of giving the speech. You're afraid you can't handle the feeling of embarrassment if it doesn't go well. You're not afraid of ending the relationship. You're afraid you can't handle the loneliness. It's not the event itself. It's the deep down belief that whatever the outcome is, you won't be able to handle it.
Let's just let that sink in for a minute. Every single fear you have ever experienced, every hesitation, every worry, every moment of panic, it all boils down to this one simple thing: a lack of trust in your own ability to handle what comes next. The problem isn't the world outside of you. It's not the tough situation, the uncertain future, or the difficult person. The real issue is the trust you have in yourself. And that brings us to this really powerful, perspective-shifting question. I want you to seriously think about this. If you knew, I mean really truly knew in your bones, that you could handle anything that life could possibly throw at you, the good, the bad, the success, the failure, the praise, the criticism, if you knew you could handle it all, what would there actually be left to fear?
The answer is absolutely nothing. The second you truly believe you can handle the outcome, the fear just loses its teeth. It might still pop up, sure, but it doesn't have that paralyzing power over you anymore. This is a huge, huge shift. It means you can stop trying to control every little thing in the world around you, which is exhausting and impossible, and instead you can just focus on the one thing you actually can control: building that trust in yourself.
So, if building that self-trust is the secret sauce, how in the world do we actually do it? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, we start by taking a hammer to a giant myth that keeps so many of us completely stuck. I like to call it the confidence myth. Does this sound familiar? Okay, as soon as I feel more confident, then I'll apply for that job. Or when I'm not so scared of being rejected, then I'll start dating again. We put our entire lives on pause, just waiting for this magical feeling of courage to show up at our doorstep before we're willing to take a risk. We've been taught to think that fear has to go away before we can act. But it turns out we've had it completely backward this whole time. This right here, these 5 truths about fear, this is where we flip the script. Let's walk through these nice and slow because they are everything. Okay, number 1, the fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. Fear is just a sign that you're stepping up, that you're on the edge of your comfort zone. It's a compass pointing toward growth. Number 2, the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to just go out and do it. Confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. Confidence is a result of that action. Number 3, the only way to feel better about myself is to go out and do it. Real, solid self-esteem isn't built by just thinking positive thoughts. It's built brick by brick every single time you take action, even though you're scared. Number 4, you are not the only one. Not only am I going to feel fear when I try something new, but so is literally everyone else. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. And finally, number 5, pushing through fear is less scary than living with the alternative. That sharp, temporary feeling of taking a risk is so much less painful than the chronic, nagging ache of staying stuck and feeling powerless. Okay, so we've got these new truths in our back pocket. We get it now. But how do we actually start using this stuff in our real, messy, everyday lives? How do we stop being a victim of our fear and start using it as fuel? This is where we get practical. Let's talk about some tools for making this change happen. So much of this comes down to how we choose to hold our fear. Check this out. We can hold it from a position of pain. When we're there, we feel helpless. We feel drained, depressed even. And the result is paralysis. We do nothing. Or we can choose to hold that same fear from a position of power. And from there, we feel like we have a choice. We feel a sense of energy, and the result is action. Notice, the fear is still there in both columns. The only thing that changes is our perspective, our stance. And one of the fastest ways to shift from that pain position to the power position is with your words.
The language we use literally shapes our reality. Look at this chart. Instead of saying, I can't, which makes you feel like a victim, try saying, I won't. See the difference? I won't is a choice. It's powerful. Instead of saying it's a problem, try reframing it as it's an opportunity to learn, to grow. Even changing I hope to I know can make a huge difference. These little tweaks in your vocabulary can start to rewire your brain for empowerment, and you can start doing it today.
I love this diagram because it shows you exactly what's happening every time you act despite your fear. Your comfort zone isn't a fixed thing, it's like a muscle. And every time you take a small risk, every time you do something that feels a little scary, you're stretching that muscle. You're expanding that circle. And what happens is, the thing that used to be terrifying and outside the circle eventually becomes manageable. And then before you know it, it's inside your circle. It's your new normal. With every brave action, your world literally gets bigger.
So here's the challenge, and it's so beautifully simple. Just take a risk a day. Now, this does not have to be some huge, life-changing thing. It can be tiny, it could be finally making that phone call you've been avoiding, it could be speaking up in a meeting when you normally stay quiet, it could be trying a new route home from work. Each one of these small acts of courage is like casting a vote for a more powerful you. You're building up this mountain of evidence, one small stone at a time, that proves to yourself that you can handle it. So as we start to wrap this up, let's think about our long-term relationship with fear. Because remember, the goal was never to eliminate fear. That's impossible. Fear is a vital human emotion. The goal is to change how we relate to it, to stop seeing it as this big, scary monster that stops us and start seeing it as a companion, a little signal that tells us, hey, you're about to grow.
This quote, this really says it all, doesn't it? Real, lasting security in life doesn't come from having the perfect job or a certain amount of money in the bank or a relationship with no problems. All of that stuff is external, and it can all change in a heartbeat. True security, the kind no one can ever take from you, comes from the deep internal knowing that you have what it takes to handle life, to handle the messiness, the uncertainty, the ups and the downs. It's a quiet confidence in your own resilience.
So if you only take one thing with you today, let it be this, a new mantra. The next time you feel that fear bubbling up, that what-if spiral starting to spin, I want you to just pause, take a breath, and say these words to yourself. Whatever happens, I'll handle it. Say it again, I'll handle it. There's so much quiet strength in those three words. It's not about pretending the bad thing won't happen. It's about trusting that if it does, you'll be okay. You'll handle it.
And so we end right back where we started, with a question. But this one's a little different. It's a call to action, a gentle one. What one small risk will you take today? Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, today. What's one tiny step you can take to stretch that comfort zone, just a little bit, and prove to yourself that you are so much more capable than you think? Just pick one thing, and then go do it.
Welcome back. Before you move on, I want to slow things down for a moment because fear has a way of rushing us. If this book resonated with you, it's probably because you recognize something familiar, not weakness, not failure, but hesitation. One of the most important things this book reminds us of is that fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. Fear shows up whenever we step into uncertainty, and uncertainty is unavoidable if we want to grow. You don't become brave by eliminating fear. You become braver by learning that fear doesn't have to be obeyed. You don't need to change your life overnight. You don't need to force confidence. Sometimes the shift begins simply by noticing how often you wait for permission and realizing you don't actually need it. If this video helped you see fear differently, please take a moment to like it. And if you want more conversations like this, slow, honest, and pressure-free, make sure you're subscribed to Bookworm. If you feel comfortable sharing, I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. What is one thing fear has been quietly holding you back from? Thank you for being here. Be gentle with yourself as you reflect. Growth doesn't require rushing. I'll see you in the next one.